Welcome to episode 25 of the Other Star franchise, the anti-fascist Star Wars podcast where a couple of Trekkies from the Star Trek fandom discuss Star Wars. We are currently watching a lot of the Star Wars shows, movies, and animation in chronological order leading up to the release of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Today we are discussing episodes of ANDOR and Rebels, which take place in the year 2 BBY. I'm Fatheree, this is Taylor. Y'all might know us from the TEX-TREK podcast. Say hi, Miss Taylor.
Hello.
If y'all can hear her, she's kind of far from the mic.
Hello.
I probably need to adjust things a little bit. Bear with me for a second. It's kind of, okay, hold up. Kind of amateur hour over here on the Other Star franchise. If you want a more polished production, y'all can go check out our TEX-TREK show, where we talk about Star Trek. But Taylor, I'm excited to talk about this stuff with you. We have ANDOR and Rebels, the shows we frequently are talking about, our two favorite Star Wars shows, our favorite animated and our favorite live action. And this is some of the big stuff for both those shows. The big season 3 events of Rebels with Thrawn and Maul and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Mon Mothma and General Dudana. And then, like, the big ANDOR stuff with what goes down on Ghorman, and then the fallout from that. And one of the things I was most excited about doing this Star Wars chronological rewatch project with you, one of the things that was really, really exciting to look forward to, was knowing we'd get to this point where Mon Mothma would appear in both shows.
Yeah, getting her from the Senate to the, or I guess to Yavin, huh?
With a stop at Dantooine in the middle. Sorry, bear with us 1 second. This is the people who listen to this later will appreciate all the weird sound effects from the microphone movement. But if you're watching us live, or watching this anywhere where there's a video presentation with this podcast, you should see our spreadsheet on screen, which documents all the episodes of the Star Wars shows and movies we've already watched and what we have coming up next in our chronological rewatch. But where we are right now... Ooh, we actually should have checked that one. But where we are right now, covering... what's the first thing we're talking about? Is it the... Rebels episode, season 2, episode 17, the honorable ones, right? From there on down to the end of... wait, that's not right. No. That was in season 2.
ANDOR.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm very unprepared. Okay, here. ANDOR season 2, episode 7... on down to...
no, until the end of season 3.
Okay. So, oh yeah, that's not much. Oh, we were supposed to go a little bit into season 4, but we're saving that for later. Okay, so, this might be a quicker stream than usual, but, well, no, it's going to be a longer stream than usual because I don't have our summaries pulled up either, so sorry about that. Taylor, why don't you talk a little bit?
I have the Rebels.
I know, but we need ANDOR.
Yeah, so I guess this is just like the last stream for 2 BBY as we're talking about the Ghorman stuff and then a little bit more about the Rebel stuff. Yeah, originally we were going to do a couple episodes of season 4 in there, but I think that makes more sense for our next stream to be the beginning of 1 BBY.
Yeah, the next stream will be all Rebels season 4. It'll just all be like that'll
be the whole stream.
And we'll have to do that on Thursday. But sorry, I went to the wrong website for that.
But yeah, I'm excited to talk about ANDOR. We only have 3 more episodes after we discuss these 3. It goes by so fast. Like, I feel like when we were in the Clone Wars, it felt like we were kind of dragging along, and now we're like speeding through year to year and show to show, like so fast now. But yeah, so in the Andor season 2, episode 7, Messenger.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about Andor season 2, episode 7 and 8, both. Those are gonna be the first two things we talk about. These are the episodes that show the big Ghorman stuff that a lot of season 2 was spent building up to. So
Yeah.
first up, season 2, episode 7, Messenger.
1 year later, the rebels have begun coordinating military operations on Yavin 4, where Cassian and Bix now live. Willman tells them that Dedra is on Ghorman, whose rebel activities have been portrayed by state-sponsored media as terrorism instigated by outside agitators, and encourages Cassian to help assassinate her. Despite his concerns over the mission being from Luthen, Cassian agrees and travels with Willman to Ghorman. Bix is told by a Force healer that Cassian will be vital to the rebellion. On Ghorman, Dedra finds her position temporarily supplanted by Captain Kaido, sent by Partagaz to oversee the Imperial subjugation of the planet, while Cyril begins to doubt Dedra's line on outside agitators, given his interactions with the rebels.
And then things actually really pop off in the next episode, season 2, episode 8, Who Are You?
Kaido instigates a protest in Palmo's central square while closing off the available exits and intentionally deploys inexperienced riot police into the volatile crowd. Arriving in the square alongside the prosecutors, Cyril realizes...
Alongside the protesters.
Alongside the protesters. Cyril realizes his role in enabling the Empire's manipulative actions and violently confronts Dedra in her office, forcing her to tell him the truth about the Empire's intentions on Ghorman before storming out. Following a directive from Partagaz, Dedra reluctantly orders an Imperial sniper to open fire on a member of the riot police unit, triggering a shootout between the rebels and the Imperial forces. The protesters attempt to flee but are massacred by Imperial blaster fire and KX security droids. Amidst the chaos, a dazed Cyril wanders the square as Cassian seeks to assassinate Dedra through her office window. Cyril and Cassian fight, and Cyril gains the upper hand but hesitates to shoot him. Cyril is fatally shot by Karo Lyzans, the Ghorman rebel leader. The Resistance manages to incapacitate a KX Enforcer droid by ramming it with an armored transport. Cassian escapes Ghorman with the droid while Willman stays to aid his Ghorman girlfriend Drina in broadcasting the news to the galaxy. In the aftermath, Dedra and Edie separately confront their losses as Imperial news outlets place blame on outside agitators for the violence on Ghorman.
So I think that's the hardest hour of Star Wars for me to watch, is the episode Who Are You?
Yeah.
It's just the intensity of the Palmo Square protests, and then when the Imperials open fire on these unarmed civilians, and it's so real and graphic, and looks like something like real life massacres that take place in our world that look very similar to that. But yeah, this was a big. This is kind of, in a lot of ways, this is kind of like the climax of Andor, right? Everything that happens in the 4 episodes after Who Are You? That's kind of what you would call like the you have like the escalating action, and then you have like the de-escalating action after the climax, right?
Yeah. Because like the last 4 episodes are really setting up Rogue One.
Yeah, well, especially the last 3. We'll talk about Season 2, Episode 9, Welcome to the Rebellion, in a moment, which is going to be fun to talk about in context with Rebels, because they work together extremely well. I was impressed and surprised just how well these two shows, made by different people many years apart from each other, line up very well. But yeah, as far as like Messenger and Who Are You, these first 2 Andor episodes we're talking about, we also have the Yavin base established here. In the opening, Bix and Cassian are living on Andor. I mean, they're living
on Yavin.
They're living on Yavin.
Yeah, I like that it shows them as part of a larger rebel group. Like, he's moved on from being like a solo worker for Luthen to working like with this larger group of rebels on Yavin. Because, I don't know, like, we kind of see him, he's, like, growing and becoming more of a rebel and stuff, and, like, we see him with that one pocket of kids, like, with whenever they're on Yavin that first time when he crashed there, or he didn't crash there, but he had the TIE Defender or whatever, and was going to pass it off, and, like, all those rebels, and he was, like, naturally leading them, like, to survive. Yeah. And I think it's cool to see him.
It's like, the TIE Avenger, by the way. The TIE Defender is the one in Rebels.
Okay.
It's confusing.
It's too many things to remember. They should name their ships differently then.
Other than TIE.
Yeah. But I liked Cass and Bix being on Yavin. I think they seem much more healthy and, like, doing, like, they seem like they can, like, live with this, you know what I mean? Like, he's, you see, know, like, when they're with Luthen and Luthen's safe house, like, they seem miserable.
Right.
And
it was
isolated.
Important. It was important for the show to show to both the characters and to the audience that, hey, there is a potential happy life between these two. Mm-hmm. But we find out they don't get, but that could have been if Palpatine and the Imperials weren't such poo-poo heads going around causing all these trouble, then Cassian and Bix would have had that happy, peaceful life in their jungle hut on Yavin or somewhere else. They probably would have liked to just stay the fuck on Ferrix, but...
Yeah, honestly.
I mean, hell, Cassian probably would have liked to stay the fuck on Kenari, but...
Yeah.
The ISB stuff in these episodes is really well done and fun to watch, but there's so much real-world intelligent agency evil shenanigans being displayed here in Star Wars, but the whole Ghorman false flag operation that was years in the making to obtain this territory so that the government can get the resources and the land. A big, huge motivating factor in real life wars and atrocities. It normally comes down to money and resources.
Yep.
But the way that we see so much of that through the eyes of Dedra, though, in Partagaz, and just the way that he's so cold and clinical, Partagaz is, when he says, when he gets on the phone with Dedra, and basically you get like the sense that the reason why Dedra is able to wake up in the morning and go to work and do this job and live with herself is she tells herself a lot of things like, well, this is something that we'll only do as a last resort. The science team is working on looking for Calkite alternatives or whatever, and hopefully it won't come down to it, but in the meantime I'm still gonna do my job and oversee the manufacturing of resistance on this planet so that the government can come in and swat back at them and then have this hostile takeover of the planet and start mining it until it collapses. But when Partagaz contacts Dedra and is like, okay, we're moving forward with this, it's go time, and the way that he phrases it, and he says, I don't know the science, but it's bad luck, Ghorman. It's like they looked for an alternative, they couldn't find one, so, I mean, it is what it is. It's no fun facing that, but you know how this works. It's just bad luck for these people. They're just born on, the wrong planet. But, it's like, well, bad luck for people born in Cuba or born in Gaza or wherever. You have resources that people want. You have this land, you have this oil, you have whatever. So powerful governments are gonna make existence unbearable for you. But the way that it shows how the media plays a crucial role in the manufacturing of consent, and you get the whole Noam Chomsky thing of the general populace being told what they should think about the Ghormans and how they should, and when you get that moment of Cyril looking at the TV camera and looking at the reporter who's just lying to the Cyril sees oh yeah, this is clearly a big peaceful protest, and then this TV reporter is just saying oh, these protesters here are out of control, and all these imperial people are in danger, and he kind of has his moment of like, oh yeah, so my government really was doing all these terrible things, and I was helping my CIA wife pull this off, and I guess this is what my tax dollars really do. Like, he almost figures it out, but it's too late at that point.
I like when he is like walking along the Ghormans in the street, and Rylands like pulls him aside and is like, you have no right to walk among us and stuff.
Yeah. And he ends up popping him in the head.
Good. I mean, but I'm glad that conversation happened, because that really shook Cyril. Like, he was like, they're lying to you. Like, he didn't even say that. He was like, you're lying to us. Like, you are such a fucking idiot. Like, you think that we don't know what you're doing. And Cyril literally thinks he doesn't know what he's doing.
Cyril was like, hey, there's these bad rebel terrorists out here, and just, like, come to me and let's just prove that, like, the Ghormans aren't that bad. It's just these outside agitators were stirring up all the trouble.
Right.
But this guy is like, no, you fucking idiot. Like, we don't want you and your empire here. Like, we don't want to be the nice little Ghormans that go along to get along and let y'all trample all over us. Like, that's what y'all are actually doing.
Yeah. And I also like that his daughter slaps him, too. Like, Cyril tries to approach, I forget her name, like, Inza. And he's like, I need to talk to you. And she literally just, like, beats the shit out of him. I'm like, good. Like, she's like, I love that they're all so insulted, you know? Like, and that they're, like, at the end of their rope. And it's like, you know what? Like, there's no way out anymore.
But, like the confrontation between, like, Cyril and Dedra, like, I love that when he realizes, like, what she's been up to. Mm-hmm. And he's freaking out. And, like, she can't, like, admit it to him. And it's, like, kind of... You get, like, that scary, violent moment where he has, like, his hands around her throat. And he's, like, don't you fucking, like, bullshit about this or I'll throw you out this goddamn window. Like, I need answers now. But, yeah, he couldn't deny it any longer.
Yeah.
And then his reaction changes when he sees Cassian there. Who the first time watching this is so exciting, it's so riveting, because I kept, like, cheering for Cassian to, like, snipe Dedra. I was like, get her, because it's like, yeah, like, I'd want to go after the evil CIA person manufacturing consent for a genocide of a planet. You know, it's like, we want our heroes to stop those people, but. Again, it's kind of like the weird thing of, like, the show humanizes this character, but then it also puts you, you know, in this situation where it's like, hey, remember when you were rooting for Dedra to be the one rising through the ranks of the ISB and be, like, this, like, strong woman who can outdo all these shithead men? But then you get here and you're like, oh, man, like, I really want this guy to shoot her in the brain because she's a terrible, evil person. Mm-hmm. So it's just, the show is really good at... at both showing the human side of these people, but also the evil of their actions.
Yeah, they're very well-rounded characters.
Yeah, I'd say it's like Shakespearean in its depth of humanity it can explore within the souls of these individuals. And, like, Cyril might have had his, like, who knows, maybe he would have been like Callus in Rebels, maybe he would have been like the Imperial defector to join the rebellion, but it took him too damn long to figure it out, and he got shot in the head because he was beating up another known rebel. Is basically who was the Ghorman leader guy? Caro Rylands is his name. But you know, he knew Cassian, so he sees, like, oh yeah, like that rebel advisor who was kind of an asshole who came to help us.
Yeah.
And then this dumb Imperial spy who was spying on it. We thought he was our friend, but he was just a spy. And
I don't even think he realized it was Cassian at first, because I think he was just like, oh, what an opportunity for me to shoot Cyril right now.
Yeah.
Like, and he doesn't even know yet that his daughter is dead in this scene. You know, I'm sure he assumes. We don't actually see that reaction. But
just as it took Cyril too long to turn against the Empire, it took the Ghormans too long. That's something that they brought up a lot. You know, that's what Cassian said. Like, they're hopeless. They waited too long, and now they don't have enough time to get ready. And I guess that was kind of you know, Caro was the guy who he was like, man, like the Emperor must not know. They must not know what the ISB is trying to do to our planet. Like there's no way people would stand for this. But it turns out like, oh, the actual like really powerful people, turns out they will do a lot to hold on to that power that they have and to secure it and to maintain it and grow it. And it turns out that the general public, most people aren't going to be that concerned about it because the institutions of society have been engineered to do the bidding of the most powerful people and manufacture consent for their war crimes. But it's funny because I feel like our United States government used to be a lot better at the manufacturing consent thing. Like, after 9/11, they spent a lot of time and effort trying to get everyone to hate Iraq and want to go to war with Iraq. And now we have a dumber regime running the country who just like, oh, let's go start a war with Iran, even though it's going to be incredibly unpopular. But they used to be a lot better at manufacturing consent for this type of stuff. I guess that's also something that comes up in these Andor episodes when they're like loading the mining equipment onto the planet. And it's, you know, pretty obvious that they're getting ready to mine shit out of the dirt. And someone says they don't even bother to lie well anymore.
Yeah, that's the final straw is like humiliation, or like the last bit of it. That's the Ghorman senator that says that with the Mon Mothma.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like that guy. He was really cool. Well, I mean, like, it kind of sucks because like Mothma was trying to help Ghorman, you know, in like a few episodes back, but he was too scared to stand up to the Emperor. So, yeah, that's a really interesting arc, too. Like, almost, like, being caught between both bad options, you know? Or both difficult options, I shouldn't say bad. But, what did you think of the Force-sensitive healer on Yavin?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. So, this is as close as we ever get to a Force user in Andor. The first time watching the show, I kept getting scared they're gonna like have someone, you know, be revealed as a secret Jedi, and then we're gonna get like a big choreographed lightsaber battle with CGI backflips, and just like I feel like it would have ruined the novelty of Andor. This was the perfect way to include the Force in this show.
Yeah, I think it's really good to leading up to like Rogue One, because they lean so heavily on like I'm one with the Force and the Force is with me.
Right, the Force is a big part of Rogue One. It's not a big part of Andor, so this is like that transitional period.
Right, and I think it's important to have Cassian see this as an example here before going into Rogue One. You know, like, it's like leading up, like you said, like it's leading up to being a big deal in Rogue One, but it's like his first. Maybe it could not be. We don't know every story that he's been in, but maybe one of the first times he's been around someone who's Force sensitive.
Yeah. And then, you know, her response were like, you get the impression that like she doesn't really understand the Force. Like, she's never had like real like Jedi training or anything. She's just like, people want to come to me for healing, and sometimes it actually works. Yeah. But she's freaked out by like, oh, there is something undeniable about you, bro. Like this is making me more of a believer than I've ever been, because what I'm feeling is, and Bix could feel it too. Bix is a little closer to the Force than Cassian, because I think she could genuinely feel something here.
She's open-minded, but I think. Cassian is not. He's very stuck and stubborn. But that's because he has to be, you know? He has to be, like, so in protector mode, and I think that makes him more, I don't know, I don't want to say, like, grumpy, but
the way that it's framed by the Force healer, that he's a messenger. He's going to deliver the Death Star plans to Leia.
Right.
In Rogue One. That's like his big contribution to the universe. Is he gets the Death Star plans to Leia, and then Leia gets them to R2-D2, and then R2-D2 gets them back to Leia, and back to Yavin, and they blow up the Death Star. But when she doesn't know the specifics, she just knows that he has like this big role to play. Like he really has to be somewhere. Like he's on his way to someplace really fucking important, and he really needs to be there. And there's also kind of like the first hint that Bix is pregnant, because then like the Force healer has her hand over Bix's belly, and she's like, maybe this is his purpose. And then like she looks at Bix real sad, like, oh, like that's definitely, I don't know what his purpose is, but I know it's not that. That's a kid who's never going to see Cassian.
Yeah, it was definitely, I think she was trying to tell Bix what Bix needed to hear and not like the truth, you know, like to stay positive, or, you know, like, I don't really know, but she didn't want to like be this big negative news bearer to Bix, you know. She's like, how can I spin this to be a little bit more positive? And it's like super not believable.
I think she wanted it to be positive, but then she felt that it wasn't, like, that's not his future, is to be in the life of this kid. But yeah, it hits a little different after you've seen the show and you realize, like, oh, she is pregnant. Because I guess they really don't reveal that until the final episodes, right? Like, that's like in the last episode. Because this is what will eventually inspire Bix to run off. But before we get to that, we need to switch over and talk about some Rebels. But I don't know, anything else on these first two episodes, Messenger and Who Are You?
Nope.
I guess the last thing I was going to comment on is the K2SO stuff. We see the KX droids unleashed in Ghorman, and they are really scary. This is the scariest they've ever been.
Yeah, they literally just toss people to kill them.
Yeah, with a Ghorman woman is like laying on the ground with her injured leg and can't escape, and that KX droid is like staring at her. Like, you can tell its head is like aimed towards her, and she's like trying to crawl real slow, and it's just like walking towards, like, man, how do you get away from that thing? Like, it's like locked in on you. It sees you. There's no escape. This is going to come closer and closer and closer, and then eventually grab you. Very horrifying.
It was really scary when they were all sitting in that room. Whenever Cyril went in to...
Yeah, it's when they make eye contact. That's what scares me. Like, because that stare.
Yeah, but yeah, whenever Cyril first goes to like the ISB headquarters area or whatever at the Palmo Square.
Yeah, they make him go
They
wait.
make him go wait in this like waiting room, and there's like these poor people like huddled up in like the corners of this room, and then there's these droids like sitting on benches, and like as soon as he walks in, it's like they all turn to look, and that is horrifying.
Yeah, being perceived by that thing, knowing that thing can see you and is looking at you and thinking about you, is fucking horrifying.
But also think about all of those people. Okay, like there's the two benches that are being sat on by droids, which don't need to like rest or like
because no one
really
wants to sit down next to them.
No, but like it just shows like those people, the Ghormans who were in that room with them, like they're not important. They don't even deserve a seat at the table. Like, we're gonna put these Imperial droids here.
Well, I think those are like Imperial people, right?
No, they were dressed in Ghorman colors. But like they're literally like hovering over to the side, like terrified and scared. You know, like it's extremely, it's dehumanizing to them, right? Because they're like literally putting droids in seats and then making like these older people and women like cower along the wall, and they don't like get like, it's like the rule of like if you see a pregnant woman or an old person, like you're supposed to give up your seat for them, but like the droids don't do that, obviously. But like it's just a power move. Like it's just another example of how the Empire is just like doesn't give a shit about anyone.
Well, let's move on to some Star Wars Rebels. We're going to talk about Rebels starting with Season 3, Episode 17, Through Imperial Eyes. What happens in that episode?
An Imperial light cruiser over Lothal intercepts a shuttle fleeing the planet. On board are Ezra Bridger, disguised as a bounty hunter, and the droids Chopper and AP-5. Ezra tells Agent Callus that the Rebels believe the Empire has intercepted his last transmissions as Fulcrum, and they have come to him, and they have come to help him defect if his cover is blown. Grand Admiral Thrawn arrives in his Star Destroyer Chimera and informs the officers on board that he has asked Colonel Yularen of the ISB to locate the rebel spy in their midst. Callus swaps his code cylinder with that of Lieutenant Leist and uses Leist's credential to free Ezra and infiltrate Thrawn's office, where the droids erase Atollon from Thrawn's database and transmit clearance codes for Kanan and Rex to rescue them. Lyse, believing Governor Price is the traitor, stuns her as she tries to stop the rebels from leaving, and he is arrested as the spy. With Lyse believed to be Fulcrum, Callus decides to remain with the Empire, although in conversation with Yularen, Thrawn reveals that he knows Callus is the spy and intends to use him to their advantage.
Bum bum bum. So yeah, the big spy games between the rebels and the Empire are on display in this episode. I feel like this kind of stuff is closer to what the original pitch for Andor was going to be. Andor, the original idea for Andor was that they wanted it to be a 5-season show about Cassian and K2SO going on spy missions for the rebels against the Empire. And then Tony Gilroy was like, no, that would never work. And they made the show that they actually made. But it's just kind of funny to see this similarity here. But yeah, Callus versus Thrawn, basically. And Thrawn wins, but Callus thinks he wins at the end. So
yeah, this is a fun, like, teasy episode where you think, like, oh, we're going to get Callus, and then, oh... Like, it's fun to actually see Callus being smart.
They wanted to do a Callus like, this is Callus is the main character. This is all from his perspective. That's why it's called Through Imperial Eyes. This is like the life of Callus episode.
Right. But yeah, I think it's a good story, and it really works towards his redemption arc. I really liked Lieutenant Lyse being super gullible, like, the whole episode.
He was eager. He was so eager to please Grand Admiral Thrawn and show that he was like, this young lieutenant, he's going to listen to this ISB agent tell him how to impress the Admiral, you know? That was an easy mark for Callus.
Yeah. It was good. Very believable. And I liked seeing the inside of Admiral Thrawn's office when he has all the art up again. But he has, like, different art up in, like, the hallway. That was the first time I think we've seen...
his droid fighting room.
Yeah, he has, like, a practice battle room.
So we've seen those before, but those Imperial security droids that I keep saying how they look so much like the droids we'll eventually get to in The Mandalorian. But they were based off of, I guess, like, I think they were called the Dark Troopers. I think that's what they're called in The Mandalorian. But it's from one of the video games from the 90s. And, Thrawn himself, he's from the book from the 90s, Heir to the Empire. And his, like, code word to shut down the droids is Rook, who shows up in Rebels in Season 4. Where that's his little minion. So just, like, seeing Thrawn fight those droids in Rebels and then say something that's like an Easter egg from the book, it really felt like Rebels was trying to cater to the like old school 90s fans of the Star Wars expanded universe.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a lot of that here. Also, like, having Wolf Yularen, our boy from the Clone Wars, who also shows up in Rebels. Also shows up in Andor. But think about how much he must suck. He's head of the ISB.
Yeah.
So, like, Dedra's whole mission on Ghorman, like, if he doesn't come up with all of these plans, he at least is, like, approving of all of them.
Right.
But he's, like, he's the boss of the ISB, so... I guess the Clone Wars... Here's, like, kind of my headcanon for that, though. Is, like, I think the Clone Wars just convinced Yularen, like, I guess the only way to have a safe, secure galaxy is to have this ruthless authoritarian state that I'll just be dedicated to protecting and maintaining. I think that's probably the thinking of a lot of fascists. So, but yeah, sad to see this guy who fought alongside Anakin and Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars. But here he is with Thrawn. I kind of thought, like, the head of the ISB should be able to keep up with Thrawn, though. When Thrawn is like, oh, it's Callus. He's the real Fulcrum. And Wolf Yularen is like, what? Like, he's very, like, dumbfounded by that.
Mm-hmm. Well, to be fair, he's definitely not as informed about this as Thrawn is. Because Thrawn has already been working this issue for a few weeks, if not months. Because it was already revealed that he knew there was a spy a few episodes ago. But, who's really explaining all that all the way up to Yularen? Like, I'm sure this is, like, the first time he just got called in because Thrawn is like, okay, I finally have enough information to loop you in.
Maybe it's that classic kind of old, like, the people in charge are actually all idiots, and the people doing the work are the ones who are getting everything figured out. Maybe, like, I was just thinking, like, yeah, shouldn't Wolf Yularen be a little smarter? And then I'm like, I don't know. I guess we could have, like, some dumb heads of the CIA in real life. And I was thinking, like, well, Kash Patel is head of the FBI, and he's certainly a fucking moron, so... But... it also kind of makes me think of, just to go back to Andor for a little bit, but... Who was the guy, Captain Kaido, whatever, who... He was sent there by the ISB to basically, like, engineer the massacre, right? Like, he was there, he was going to send, like, this team of this sergeant and a few new recruits to go out into the rowdy public and then get shot by an Imperial sniper and create, like, this false flag event. But it's kind of like, you kind of get the impression there that, like, that sergeant, you know, he's kind of a... He's a non-commissioned officer. He's like O'Brien in Deep Space Nine. You know, he's the guy who, like, bosses these young recruits around and gets things done, and is the guy who actually, like, runs the show, and not like the fancy officers who argue about, like, can I be called prefect or not? You know,
right?
It's like old school, like, British Empire. You know, like the British military was a powerful force to be reckoned with for centuries, but it was always like these non-commissioned guys who I think are actually getting shit done. All of the officers are like these posh, rich dipshits from England who came from, like, fancy estates and never had to work hard all their life and just, you know, didn't know their ass from their elbow, and they would be the officers. But then, like, these guys, like the staff sergeant, are the guys who actually have to problem solve and plan and figure things out and not get any of the credit for it. They're the ones that are, like, sent out to get shot and be the sacrificial lambs and the false flags. So, yeah, maybe Yularen is maybe he's a bit of a high-ranking doofus. But it's fun to see Ezra show up as the in the bounty hunter gear, and then team up with Callus is all, like, worried about Ezra, like, you shouldn't have done this, and then they're trying to recruit him, and he would have been so better off. Callus would have been way better off if he was able to flee with Ezra here in this episode.
Yeah, he's like Icarus in this. He's flying too close to the sun. Like, he's like so self-confident, and I think this is, like, the arrogance that he has struggled with in the past, you know.
But it makes sense if he thinks that, like, hey, I cleared my name, I made it look like this other guy List is the traitor, so they're not going to be suspicious of me. So I can understand him thinking that, like, oh, I bought myself a lot more time. I can stay here and be more helpful, be more useful.
Yeah.
He's also used to, like, living this life of, like, yeah I'll just be this Imperial agent who's actually secretly an undercover rebel agent. But I know how to live this life on these Imperial ships and interacting with these Imperial people. If I go and join the rebellion and have to, like, look at Zeb every day and think about, like, all the terrible things I've done in my past, that's way less comfortable. That's way harder to commit myself to. I might as well just, like, stay here and keep doing the same old. But yeah, it definitely turns out would have been better off if he had left here. And then Thrawn's art obsession, how he was able to recognize Sabine's handiwork on Ezra's bounty hunter helmet. And it's like, no, that bounty hunter was obviously the undercover Jedi Ezra Bridger. And this was his comrade Sabine Wren's artwork.
Yeah. Yeah, they do a really good job with Thrawn being an art historian and using that to his tactical advantage.
You know, the episode opens with that POV shot of Callus, like, waking up in bed. And you were saying, like, oh, he probably just, like, laid down. That's why he's, like, sleeping. His, like, full-on ISB armor that he wears. Mm. But they wanted this whole episode to be, like, Callus POV. Mm. And that would have been kind of cool if they could have, just, like, from a technological perspective, it would have been hard to create, like, all of those shots, but it would have been cool to see. Maybe that would work better as, like, one of these, you know, Tales of the Empire, Tales of the Underworld, whatever things, or it could be, like,
a little shorter.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to deal with 20 plus minutes of that. We can move on to the next episode. We're actually going to switch back to Andor now. The last Andor episode of 2BBY we're going to talk about. But this is Secret Cargo. That's not what it is? Or no, it's Welcome to the Rebellion. Sorry. Season 2, Episode 9. We're looking at a list of Rebels episodes and Andor episodes, and it's confusing me. But Taylor, tell us what happens in Welcome to the Rebellion.
In the aftermath of the Ghorman Massacre, the Empire frames the incident as an insurrection. Mothma writes a Senate speech denouncing Emperor Palpatine and prepares to flee to Yavin 4. Senator Bail Organa chooses to stay behind to aid the rebellion in secret. Luthen learns from Young that Bail's security team is compromised and assigns Cassian to extract Mothma from Coruscant. Meanwhile, Luthen clashes with Mothma over the death of his subterfuge within the rebellion, his depth of his subterfuge within the rebellion, and his choice to have Tay killed. With Organa's help, Mothma takes the floor of the Senate and powerfully condemns Emperor Palpatine and the genocidal Empire's manipulation of the truth. Cassian convinces Mothma to leave with him, killing the spy and Organa's rival security team, and Mothma's ISB-planted driver, Cloris. He brings Mothma to the safe house on Coruscant, where she publicly positions herself with the rebellion. Cassian accompanies the injured Wilman back to Yavin 4. Disturbed by recent events, Cassian resolves to leave and try to begin a new life with Bix. But Bix departs during the night, leaving Cassian a message that implores him to stay and help the rebellion and promises that she will find him again once it succeeds. Later, technicians reprogram K2SO, the stolen KX droid, to serve the rebellion.
So, this is the episode that ties really well into the next episode of Rebels we're going to talk about. But this is another very exciting, very riveting one, especially the first time you watch it. There's this incredibly great tension between Mon Mothma and Andor. She's going to deliver the speech that will end her political career and make her an enemy of the state. And really, this is the first time she's really putting her ass on the line. I guess, this whole time, she's always been at risk of being caught and being exposed. But this is she knows this is going to change everything. This is definitely the point of no return. And
yeah, this is going from privately helping to publicly calling it out.
Yeah, after this, everyone in the galaxy is going to know she's an enemy of Palpatine. She's declaring herself the enemy of the most powerful being in the galaxy. But Cassian's there to extract her, and he's like, you gotta come with me and not Bail Organa's guys, because we know one of them is compromised, so you gotta come with me. And she's like, but how do I know you're not gonna kill me like Luthen killed my friend Tay, that other Lucen? Maybe Luthen doesn't want me to be a loose end that can lead back to him. So, and from her perspective, she has no reason not to suspect Cassian might be there to kill her,
Yeah. I do think that she wavers a little bit towards him in favor of him, because he does say, I was in Ghorman yesterday, and I'm here today to get you. I
think it helps that Cassian has a certain level of Diego Luna charm that he can't help but have. I think also makes him come off as a lot more trustworthy and believable.
He also physically puts himself between her and Organa's ISB spy.
Yeah. She was trying to make an arrest, I guess.
Yeah.
She didn't think Mon Mothma is going to be with this guy packing heat who can shoot me if I try to arrest her.
I guess my point is if he was going to kill her, why would he put himself at risk to take her out of this building?
Right.
In my opinion, I think she's gaining trust with him throughout the
but she's also got to be thinking the whole time this is madness. This guy might be taking me around the corner of the building to shoot me, but right now he's my best option, so fingers crossed that doesn't happen.
The other thing that happens in this that's not in the summary is her assistant, I forget his name, Erskine.
Yeah.
Is a Luthen spy, and she basically kicks him out. But he's fucking cool as hell and, like, is super on her side. And, but I think that's a interesting thing, too, is, like, she felt super betrayed and super isolated. And I think it was cool, or not cool, but, like, they had, like, the whole Ghorman situation, and she never went home. Like, as soon as she was hearing the news, like, she was already writing her speech. She's at work in her office. She's, like, on the grind. Luthen tells her, like, go home, get your shit together. Like, you have to literally leave the Senate. Like, say goodbye to your family, whatever. She never goes home because she doesn't need to. Like, she's literally cut ties. Like, she's like, already given that up, like, through these years and years.
Lita and Perrin aren't part of her life. Yeah. They haven't been for a long time.
Like, they're literally just covers for her at this point. You know, it's like, oh, well, I'm just a big happy family. Like, I'm a senator with a big happy family. And in reality, she's already, like, this episode, like, really makes you realize, like, how isolated she is from everyone. And like, everyone is just, like, a pawn in this whole war again, you know? And it just sucks to see her so nervous and scared. But I don't know. This episode had me, like, on the edge of my seat the whole time. Like, every single scene was so suspenseful.
The music is so good. The Brandon Roberts score, really great composer. And who's the guy who plays Bail Organa in Andor? Who, like, a lot of people complained about him being, like, a different actor. But I think he's so good. Like, all of his scenes, he's really good.
Yeah,
I kind of like him a little more because his voice sounds more like Phil Lamar's Bail Organa from the animations.
Yeah, I never questioned that he was a bad Bail Organa or good Bail Organa. Like, I was like, yeah, that's Organa. Like, I don't know, that one didn't really bother me too much. Yeah, I agree. I think he's fine.
And I always think about the way that Cassian kills the driver, Cloris, who's been a spy on Mon Mothma since the very beginning of the show. I think he was introduced in, like, Andor episode 4, you know, so he's been around for a while. And then Cassian just being like, what's his name? Hey, Cloris, we found her! And he's just like, oh, who are you? And then he gets shot.
Yeah.
And he's listening to her speech, and, like, he kind of looks like he's like, man, like, is he kind of moved by this? Like, you know, he's gotten to know her. He's been her driver for years. Like, maybe he's getting ready to defect. And then,
yeah.
Nope, he got on. If he was going to get on the right team, he should have done it sooner. It's Benjamin Bratt. Thank you, Joel, for looking that up. But, yeah, I think he was fine. He was more than fine. I think he was, like, really good. I didn't mind him at all. But...
another thing I really appreciated in this episode is how much we see the Senate belittle what happened in Ghorman. Like, we know about, like, this massive... I love that they follow, like, the whole Ghorman Massacre in one episode, and then it's followed by, like, the media and, like, how the Senate reacts to the Ghorman Massacre. Because there's, like, a few lines in there where, like, someone's like, oh, given what happened yesterday, it's amazing that there's not more people here today. And, like, there's, like, this whole conversation about, like, how the Senate isn't allowed to, like, have open floor during this day. Like, they were, like, there was, like, a line or two in there where there was, like, a specific
reason.
Were
only going to let, like, the people loyal to Palpatine talk about this.
Right.
Yeah, it's like at the DNC when Kamala Harris was running for president in 2024 at the Democratic National Convention, they really wanted to have one Palestinian speaker there, and the Israel lobbies and the Democratic Party wouldn't allow that. They were like, no, you can't have. We're not going to allow a Palestinian to speak while our ally Israel is committing a genocide in Gaza. And really, really shameful and disgusting. And it would have been cool if, like, someone who did speak at the DNC would have had, like, the balls to, like, I don't know, do something like Bail Organa did and, like, platform Mon Mothma.
Yeah. I actually think that's surprising that he's not a big target after doing that. You know, just, like, by being the one that opens the floor to her, I feel like he could get into some big doo-doo too. But maybe he just knows how to, like, play that off and be like, well, I didn't know what she had to say. I trusted her as a leader. I didn't know she was going to do all that. I guess he could play dumb, but...
I know, like, Tony Gilroy tries to, like, dance around it when people try to talk to him about, like, the politics in this show. But, like, someone, like, working in the writer's room on this show really have, like, their finger on the pulse, and we're trying to... Like, it's not by an accident this is the most relevant Star Wars show out right now.
Right.
And so, and yeah, like, when they were shooting this in 2024, we were already, like, a year into the Gaza genocide that started in October of 2023. And it's no accident that they make it a big deal, a big plot point, and a big moment in the show when Mon Mothma has the balls to call a genocide a genocide.
Right.
So it was very appropriate to do that, for the writers of the show to do that. And yeah, like, it hits hard when you watch it. It's hard not to think of our real world watching this era of Star Wars, this rise of fascism part of the timeline we're currently in. But the sad message from Bix too at the end, after, like, that super riveting like
escape.
Yeah, you get, like, the big, it's very political thrillery with, like, the big speech, and then the the chase, the escape, and then you get hit so hard with that message from Bix. I guess, like, they have, like, that last night together.
Yeah.
It's so unfair. Like, Bix knows it's the last night. Cassian doesn't know. But Bix is thinking, like, one day I'll make this up to him. Like, one day it'll all be worth it when I make it up to him, you know?
Yeah. That sucks.
Yeah, no, it makes me want to cry now just articulating it. It is devastating to watch.
I think it was interesting, like, knowing what... Because this is the first time I've rewatched. But knowing that she's pregnant in this is, like... Part of her message, she says, like... I'll come back for you or something like that, or I will find you. And she, like, hesitates for a second, and, like, it sounded like she was going to say, we'll come find you.
Because she knows, like, if he learns that he has a kid, like, that would be he's already, like, he's ready to, like, quit on Luthen. He's like, I just want to, like, you know, ride off into the sunset with Bix and have a happy life with us together. I feel like we've earned that, we deserve that. But she believed in the Force healer. Like, she like, genuinely believed, like, oh no, he has, like, that Force healer felt it. Like, I felt her feel it. He legitimately has this great purpose, and it's very, very important that he's there. And if he knows that he has this kid, there's no way he would stick to it. He would be like, oh, I gotta go be dad. I want to go be dad with this kid. Mm-hmm. Like, so she knows how much that would mean to him. Like, she knows that like, that would be such a happy life for him that she has to deny that to him.
Yeah.
That's got to take, like, a toll on her. But yeah, I feel sorry for these characters. It's a big sacrifice. But, like you were saying, we were watching it last night, and you were talking about how, like, oh, this makes me so mad at Bix that she would do this. I'm like, yeah, like, I know, I get it, but
yeah,
I'm glad she did it, because I'm glad that Palpatine was brought down. I'm glad that the Death Star was stopped. But, I mean, fuck, like, yeah, it was worth it, but that's a hell of a big fucking ask to ask from someone. That's what I mean. Like, the show can tell like this, like, big story with, like, you know, it's like Frank Herbert's Dune in its scope of, like these big institutions and empires and the rise and fall of them and why that happens and, like, the big picture history of it. But to tie it back into these, like, the deeply personal drama of this, I say Andor is unmatched in its ability to do that.
Yeah, agree.
If there's something else that can do both these things this well on this level, let me know, because I haven't seen it yet. But yeah, so really cool though to have the Mon Mothma escape in that episode, and also, like, set up her assistant Erskine playing a big role. And they mention, like, oh, Dodonna and Gold Squad are gonna take it from here, and we see all of that in Rebels. I guess the last thing I want to say on Andor before we switch back to Rebels is We have a comedic character on Andor now. The last scene of Welcome to the Rebellion is the first scene of K2SO, where the K2 that we know from Rogue One.
Right.
I love how when he wakes up for the first time, he sees everyone standing around with blasters aimed at him, and he says, if I did something to offend you, I apologize. Otherwise, I would appreciate you not pointing that at me. It's like, yeah, that's a fair response if this is what you wake up to for the first time in your existence.
Yeah.
I guess I should also say Melshi is back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So more Melshi in Andor in the coming episodes, and then in Rogue One. Kind of makes me sad to see him show up in Andor, because I'm like, oh yeah, Melshi, I don't think you make it back from Rogue One.
Yeah.
So you're closer to your final destination in the Star Wars universe. But let's switch back over to Star Wars Rebels. We're going to talk about the rest of Rebels Season 3, starting with Season 3, Episode 18, Secret Cargo.
The crew of the Ghost waits in a junk field to rendezvous with and refuel a rebel ship carrying a secret cargo. The Ghost is found by an Imperial infiltrator probe droid, which the crew destroys, but not before it transmits their location to the Empire. The rebel ship arrives, and the cargo is revealed to be Senator Mon Mothma, who is on the run after recently speaking out against the Emperor of the Senate. 2 Imperial cruisers arrive, and Ezra joins Gold Squadron to fight off the TIE fighters and disable one of the cruisers, as Mothma and her crew evacuate to the Ghost. Grand Admiral Thrawn surmises that Hera will attempt to escape the sector via the Archeon Nebula, and he sends 2 Star Destroyers and the prototype TIE Defender to intercept them. Hera destroys 2 TIEs by flying close to a star, but the Defender survives and destroys most of the Gold Squadron except for Ezra and Gold Leader. As the Ghost leaves the nebula, it is caught in a tractor beam by Governor Price's Star Destroyer. Ezra and Gold Leader disable the TIE Defender with ion cannons, then exit the nebula and fire their proton torpedoes into it, triggering an explosion which causes massive damage to the Star Destroyers. Escaping into hyperspace, the Ghost brings Mothma to Dantooine, where she transmits a message to all Rebel cells, urging the formation of the Rebel Alliance. As the Ghost crew watches in amazement, dozens of capital ships from around the galaxy drop out of hyperspace in response to the call to the rebellion.
Yeah, so we're now forming the Rebel Alliance. We're now telling all these different Rebel cells that have been operating independently for the last few years, we can all unite together and form our military resistance against the government.
I like that this pulls in on Andor too when Organa tells Mothma he can't go, but he's like, but you need to go because the rebels need a leader. Like, they need someone to unite everyone together. Yeah. And so it's cool, like, in this Rebels episode, we see that she's immediately doing that. Like, she's literally on the run from the Senate speech, and she's like, all right, here we go. We're calling in all the Alliance.
I would love to talk to, like, a Pablo Hidalgo or Dave Filoni or someone in, like, the Star Wars story group at Lucasfilm about this stuff. But I'm guessing that they kind of had, like, a Rogue One Bible that they came up with, like, around the time, like, they wrote Rogue One, where, like, they knew, like, okay, what was everyone up to for, like, the last 5 years? What was Cassian up to? What was Mon Mothma up to? What was Bail Organa up to? What was Saw Gerrera up to? And then Rebels pulled from that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, later when they do Andor pulls from it. Because these Rebels episodes that we're watching, they aired in 2017. So animation takes a while. So they were, like, these episodes would have been written, like, before Rogue One came out, probably, like, before The Force Awakens came out in, like, 2015. So they made it all line up, though. When we like, it's really like, you see Erskine, like, yeah, like, he sounds a little different, but, like, I mean, both actors, they sound, like, kind of gay, so I was like, even that, like, well, yeah, I can kind of picture that as, like, the same dude, but he has like a rebel, like, soldier, like, helmet on in Rebels, and, like, those goggles on, kind of, like, obscures his face, like, he could look like anyone. So it's like, it's easy to picture the guy from Andor under that gear.
Yeah, and they also talk about Ghorman in this Rebels episode,
Yeah.
which I was surprised because I thought that was going to be something that ended up not coming back in to the Rebels show, and that was just going to be like an Andor thing.
Yeah.
But in Secret Cargo, which was written, or at least aired in 2017, like, they're already talking about, like, this massacre on Ghorman.
That we don't see until 7 years later, or no, 8 years later in 2025. That aired last year.
Right. So, like you said, like, they had all that planned
Yeah.
out. Like, they knew, like, what some of these battles were and maybe what happened. Maybe not exactly how everything panned out and happened. You know, like, I'm sure they didn't have Dedra and Cyril figured out for that.
But they had...
But they would have known, like, the Empire went here, fucked them up.
Something bad happened on Ghorman, and then Mon Mothma left the Senate, gave, like, a big speech and left.
Right.
And so then, like, the Rebels people were like, okay, and that's when she comes into our show. And
Right. So, I really like that seamless transition there.
we hear part of her speech in Rebels, but it's, like, it's a little bit different dialogue, but even that makes sense, because... in Andor, she gives a second speech after she fled Coruscant that we don't hear, but we do hear it in Rebels.
Yeah, I was going to say, that speech isn't the same one she gave in the Senate. That's
Right.
the one she gave from the safe house.
She gives 3 speeches total, because then at the end when she gets to Dantooine, she gives another speech.
Yeah, she's rallying. It's like, okay, here I am publicly in the Senate. And that's also, like, that was very much like they were trying to shut her down so people couldn't hear her speech anyway. So, one, they don't even know, like, how big of a reach that got with, like, Imperial News. Because they were trying to, like, censor her and shut her down.
Yeah, trying to shut her off the HoloNet.
So then having the second one, right whenever she's safe again, makes sense because they want people to know, like, she's safe and she's still here to fight. And it's, like, reaching more people, reaching more Rebel cells. And then the third speech is the call to action speech, you know? So it makes sense that she has all of this.
And she's showing that, like, yeah, like, I'm still alive. The Empire is, you know, they're going to try to shut me down, shut me up. But, like, I'm still here. Like, I am showing, like, continuity. Like, you...
And it's also really good communication. Like, if you're thinking, like, okay, we need someone who's going to pull together all these individual Rebel cells who we've seen in Andor and Rebels have infighting and disagreements with each other. And you're trying to get somebody that can get all of them to be, not, like, ruled under, but led by one person, like, you know, or at least... united.
Yeah, it's hard to get, like, a lot of revolutionaries on the same page.
So,
like,
you know, being consistent with your messaging and then following through, those are going to be big reasons that they would pick you as a leader, you know?
There's a lot of Y-Wing action. General Dudana, this is the first time we ever see him, but he has, like, a big Santa Claus beard. He's the guy who people know him from Star Wars. Way back in 1977, he gave the PowerPoint presentation on, like, go up the Death Star trench here, and then shoot your proton torpedoes in here, and may the Force be with you.
Yeah.
That's General Dudana.
Gotcha.
That Ezra stole Y-Wings for. Then we see the Y-Wings in action here, and it's so sad. Like, the TIE Defenders shoot some Y-Wings, and I'm like, oh no, like, they're such an endangered species. The poor Y-Wings of Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah.
But I like seeing the Y-Wings get some... They really were cautious about the X-Wing and Rebels. Like, they didn't... Right, we're gonna put, like, the Rebels and the Y-Wings first, and then eventually we'll get we'll have them in the A-Wings, and then eventually we'll get, like, the B-Wing and the Y-Wings. Like, they really wanted to make people wait for the X-Wing.
Yeah.
Which we've seen a little bit of in...
Only in Andor. We've only seen them at Saw, Saw
They have them in Yavin, but they don't fly them.
No, like, they do. They fly them in one of these episodes in these 3. Because we just see them lift up off of base. But we don't see them deploy the X part of the X-Wing.
Yeah. They haven't used them in combat in anything yet.
No, they literally just, like, came up off the ground, and we didn't even, like, the camera didn't even follow them.
You know, is what they're kind of doing here. It's kind of like how in the war right now with Iran, how Iran is using all of their older drones and missiles first. But, like, they're saving all of their good expensive stuff. And so this is kind of like the rebellion being like, hey, Bel Organa and Mon Mothma only have so much money. So let's use up all these cheap-ass A-Wings first. And then after we've we've gone through all of those. Then we're gonna bust out the X-wings and really show the Empire what for.
Yeah. It's like first in, first out method, like aged out or whatever. Any other comments on this secret cargo?
No, just I guess we see Bail Organa and Dudana. We had already seen Dudana in Rebels. Now that I think he had shown up. Or no, I guess this is when he first shows up.
They've mentioned him, but I don't think we've seen him.
They mentioned him when they got the Y-wings, but we see him in a room with Bail Organa. Which, when this first came out, I guess I probably would have assumed that they were at Yavin. But now we know that Organa can't leave yet. But I assume Organa can go from Coruscant to Alderaan at will.
Yeah, I was thinking it was like a secret rebel base. Not even like a rebel base, but like Organa's rebel office.
Yeah, like somewhere in Alderaan, though.
Somewhere hidden, like a bunker or something.
Yeah, because he's, like, he has some, I would assume he has some safe places in Alderaan where he can go do rebel stuff.
Yeah.
Under the Imperial radar. So, but yeah, cool. I don't know. Cool to see Bail Organa and Dudana standing in a room together.
Maybe one day we'll get an Organa show, and that'll make sense one day.
Yeah, he's kind of like, he almost is kind of like a major character in Star Wars because he's a supporting character in everything.
He's also Leia's dad.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It makes sense that he has a big role. Yeah, and he's like an Imperial senator who was instrumental in the foundation of the rebellion.
And we think he blew up on Alderaan.
We know he did.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll see.
I mean, I guess they could retcon that, but
we think he did.
Yeah. Everyone assumes he did. Like
did.
Everyone, yeah. like that was Leia's reaction. Is like, oh, my dad is there, and now he's blowed up.
Yeah.
But that's the first thing we learn about him. Like way back in 1977, it was like, oh yeah, like Leia's dad is against the Empire and for the rebellion. So, okay. Let's move on, though, to the next episode. We're going to talk about Star Wars Rebels Season 3, Episode 19, Double Agent Droid.
Chopper, AP-5, and Wedge are sent on a mission to an Imperial facility to steal access codes for the factory on Lothal. AP-5 successfully locates and steals the codes. Meanwhile, Chopper accesses the Imperial network and draws the attention of the Controller, an Imperial agent who controls an advanced spy ship. Using his ship's capabilities, the Controller remotely seizes control of Chopper, intending to use him to locate the rebel base. With their mission successful, Chopper, AP-5, and Wedge head back to rendezvous with the Ghost. AP-5 begins to suspect something is wrong when Chopper acts uncharacteristically nice. The rest of the crew thinks AP-5 is just squabbling with Chopper again, though Hera begins to have her suspicions as well. The Controller then uses Chopper to lock the crew in the cargo hold while he attempts to hack the Ghost computer. AP-5 overrides the door controls, allowing the crew to disable Chopper. Angry that the Imperials have harmed her droid, Hera sends a counter-signal back to the Controller, overloading his ship's systems and causing it to explode. Chopper returns to normal and begins bickering with AP-5 again. This episode is really fun. I love AP-5 a lot.
Yeah.
And I love Chopper. And they are so funny. It is very R2-D2 C-3PO.
But I like that it's not them.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like George Lucas, if he was making this show, he would have been like,
make it R2.
Why don't we just have like R2 and 3PO in it?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they can be on loan from Bail Organa. It's fine. And
they did that in one episode.
And that pissed me off because it's like it's way too fucking early for you can't do them in episode 3.
But I think that the banter in this works better. I like AP-5's dialogue more than C-3PO's. Like, I think AP-5 being like a grumpy ex-Imperial organizing inventory droid is so good. Is it like because he's still a protocol droid, but he's not a personal.
He's not the people pleaser that 3PO is.
Right. And he's more logical and, like, efficient, and I fucking love that. And I love that Chopper is just, hell on wheels.
Yeah, they're similar, but they're so different personality-wise.
Yeah, they're very stubborn, but Chopper's more go with the flow, and AP-5 is more structured.
Yeah, I love this droid duo. I love Chopper in general is just one of my all-time favorite characters. The joke in here about the Imperial spies are too nice.
Yeah.
As Chopper, Joel is pointing that out from the live chat. We have the line, he's too nice. We got how they all immediately get suspicious. See, okay, that, just to tie it back into Star Trek a little bit, but this is just kind of a general television rule. But that's something that Gene Roddenberry really wanted to have in Star Trek, is that he wanted to have, like, these characters with, like, personalities that the audience got to know. And his basis for it was the Western TV show Gunsmoke that was on for years and years. But he was like, oh, yeah, like, the characters in Gunsmoke, like, they know each other. They make, like, one character will make a joke, and the other characters will laugh at the joke because they'll know how true it is. Or, you know, they make fun of Chester, or say something about, like, Miss Kitty, or what, you know, like, whatever. But, like, the audience at home would be in on the joke, and the other characters in the show would be in on the joke. And we get that here with, the audience knows it's weird for Chopper to be nice, so we get it when everyone is freaked out by that.
Yeah, it works really well. I think it was a good, I guess, quote, filler episode. But I like these droid episodes because they're actually fun. And but I like that it does, like, have a need, you know? And, like, the bad guy, quote, the controller, is, like, a good villain. Like, it's like a there's, like, a
he
better
looks
word
like
for
our
that.
friend Randy. Whenever I watch this episode, I can't help but think of our friend Randy, because when it came out, I remember him posting online. He was like, "Look, I look just like this Imperial Lobot." But he has a similar beard and glasses to this guy.
Yeah, but I like it when, like, the villains can actually, like, trick our heroes, even if it's just for, like, a minute. You know, like, I like that they're, like, worthy adversaries of our heroes and not just, like, dopey bad guys.
And yeah, he's such a kind of a unique villain, because he, like, you look at him and you're like, okay, this is just like some, like, lame government bureaucrat guy. He probably, you know, he gets off having, like, the power to boss this room of subordinates around, and like, he just kind of seems like, I don't know, just like some prick you can imagine in real life. But he's still a capable opponent for our heroes.
Yeah. And I think it was cool, too, how Hera ended up sending the signal back to him, and then blew up that ship. I think maybe it didn't need to blow up, but I guess, like I don't really see how that would have happened. Like, if you, like, blow up their memory banks or whatever, like, overload their memory banks, I don't think that would blow up the whole ship.
It's satisfying for spaceships to blow up, you know, like Star Wars has to, you gotta have, like, that part that makes, like, the little kids excited, you know, like, ooh, wow.
This is Star Wars does IT, what do y'all say, like, Star Wars physics, but this is, like, Star Wars technology.
Yeah. But it's the same thing in Star Trek, to make things exciting when a ship is under fire and getting, like, hit by phasers and torpedoes, and then, like, someone's computer screen explodes in their face. That's just to, you know, show the audience the imminent danger the characters are experiencing in a visually exciting way. But yeah, a lot of technology in science fiction seems incredibly volatile, with as much of it blows up in, like, big, colorful, exciting explosions. Mm-hmm. It's kind of fun to like, man, like, does everything in the Star Wars universe run off of Rhydonium or what? It all seems pretty volatile. Wedge is also a big part of this episode. There's a lot of Wedge Antilles, our Rebels pilot, who will be a big supporting character in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
That's, like, kind of like a turning point in your, like, childhood Star Wars fandom, or at least, like, it was, like, back in the original trilogy days. It's like, when you're watching those movies, when you're, like, 4 or 5, you don't know who Wedge is. You don't pick up on, like, the background character names. And then when you get, like, a little older and, like, you're like, oh, all these other faces in the movie, like, other than Luke, Han, and Leia, like, all these other people have, like, names and histories and backstories, and you kind of start picking up on the bigger and bigger picture of things. But yeah, I remember like, being a kid watching the original trilogy on VHS and, like, noticing, like, oh yeah, like, this pilot Wedge, like, he's in, like, all the big fighter battles. He always survives. He's like, one of the few people who survived the Death Star battle, other than Luke and Han. And so I like him actually getting to be a part of the story in Rebels from time to time. And at the end, when AP5 is so happy floating in space with those little critters, and he's
They're
singing
like
to
little
himself.
Fish, squirrel things in space. And he's like, I have never been so happy. Like, he has nothing to do and nothing to worry about but just float around in space.
I mean, eventually his battery would die,
Yeah.
right? So
he seemed fine with it. He was like,
I
whatever.
need a nap.
Yeah. He's like, these rebels don't appreciate me. I'm just gonna take a nap.
I'm just gonna enjoy 0G until my battery runs out, and then take a nap.
But yeah, it's funny, the ghost, like, comes and eats him.
Yeah.
Like, he literally, like, from the front, like, they drop their Bador and just, like...
Yeah, he was so disappointed to
like,
be
no!
rescued. It's funny, then, like, the more and more you think of it, you're like, that's actually incredibly sad.
Yeah. The rebels are abusing this droid. And they don't believe him. He's so sick of being, like... Sorry.
You're good.
Sorry, he's so sick of being, like, taken for granted and, like, not listened to. Like, this whole time he's trying to tell them about Chopper and no one's listening to them. So,
well,
anyway, sorry.
We're closing on the end of Star Wars Rebels Season 3. Here's a big episode that we're really excited to talk about. This is like another one of those Rebels episodes. When I say, like, there are certain Rebels episodes, if I'm rewatching the show, I always look forward to. Honestly, the big ones, I think the things I love most in Rebels are Twilight of the Apprentice, the end of Season 2, and then the Season 3 episode, Twin Suns. But, Taylor, tell us what happens in Season 3, Episode 20, Twin Suns.
The episode starts with Maul lost in the deserts of Tatooine in search of Obi-Wan Kenobi. In frustration and rage, he shouts Kenobi's name, which was echoed throughout the desert. After contemplating that he did not want to die in the desert, he attempts to draw Kenobi out of hiding by activating a fragment of the Sith holocron. After receiving the holocron message, Ezra Bridger tells the Ghost crew that they must go to Tatooine to save Obi-Wan Kenobi from Maul. The crew refuses, believing Kenobi died during Order 66, and that the message is a trap set by Maul. Ezra and Chopper nonetheless sneak away and head to Tatooine, but their ship is destroyed by Tusken Raiders as soon as they arrive. Guided by the holocron, Ezra and Chopper set off across the desert in search of Kenobi. After hours of aimless wandering, Chopper runs out of power and shuts down. Ezra is then haunted by visions of Maul, who tells him he failed his loved ones. Shortly afterwards, Ezra passes out. Upon awakening, he finds that Kenobi has rescued him and Chopper. Ezra tries to warn Kenobi that Maul is after him and asks him to help the rebellion. However, Kenobi refuses, saying that the rebellion already has what it needs to fight the Empire. He also has no intention of fighting Maul, though he knows it is now inevitable. As Maul finds the pair, Kenobi sends Ezra and Chopper to safety and faces off with Maul in a lightsaber duel. After a period of tension, Maul strikes first but is quickly countered and defeated by Kenobi. Before Maul dies, Kenobi stays by his side and reveals to him that he is watching over whom he believes is the Chosen One, with Maul's last words being, "He will avenge us." Ezra and Chopper return to base on Maul's ship. Ezra tells the rebels that Maul is gone and apologizes for sneaking away. Meanwhile, Kenobi watches a young Luke Skywalker at the Lars moisture farm from a distance.
Yeah, and you hear Beru saying, Luke! Luke!
Yeah.
It's like the same dialogue from 1977. But yeah, the return of Obi-Wan, now as old man Alec Guinness style.
My favorite line in this whole episode is Ezra being like, Obi-Wan's alive, and Hera's like, he wouldn't be alive or he'd be here and part of the rebellion.
Yeah.
I was like, I have news for you. He's disappointing.
Yeah, well, he has dedicated his life to protecting Luke.
Yeah.
And Leia on occasion when he needs to be. It's also interesting to me, I'm glad that we're watching the Star Wars chronological rewatch right now, because this explains a few things. I thought it was like really unusual in the Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi show that Bail Organa would insist that Luke goes after Leia. Like, why don't you just get Ahsoka? Like, you know Ahsoka, like, what's she doing?
Mm.
But...
Oh, Ahsoka is MIA right now.
No. Well, now, but not like before, not like when Leia was... I'm talking about like during the Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
Gotcha.
Like before Rebels. Like way back in 9.
Yeah.
BBY. It's kind of a minute ago. Or no, I guess it was 10. Yeah, 9 BBY was the solo movie. 10 BBY is the Kenobi show. So it was way back then. But Ahsoka doesn't know about the twins and also doesn't know that Obi-Wan's alive because like they're that compartmentalized, which I think was kind of a mistake. I feel like Bail Organa should trust Ahsoka and Obi-Wan, especially after like their history in Clone Wars. They should be able to trust her enough to bring her in. I know that they have to make these kind of weird decisions about some of the stuff just to maintain the continuity because like, you know, Ahsoka and Obi-Wan didn't know each other when the original trilogy was being made. Ahsoka didn't exist back then. So it's kind of hard to square all this stuff now. But I guess the justification they come up with is that the knowledge of the twins is so vital that they kind of make an agreement. Bail Organa and Yoda and Obi-Wan, like, they're not going to tell that to anyone. Like, I guess Owen and Beru know that Luke is Anakin's son.
But they don't know he has a sister.
I get Obi-Wan never says that. And then does Bail Organa's wife? What does she know? Like,
I don't think she knows much either. I think he said, "Hey, babe, I got this baby, and now we're parents." And she doesn't. She's like, "Okay, I guess."
Does she know that like this is my old colleague Senator Padme Amidala? This is her kid. Like,
no, I don't.
I think if she knows anything, that's it.
I don't think she knows that. I feel like Bail would have showed up and been like, "Hey, this kid was abandoned on Coruscant."
I kind of want to know more about Leia's adoptive mother. You'd think she'd be like a pretty important. Yeah, what's Leia's relationship with her adoptive mother like? I don't know. Maybe she's like Wicked stepmom.
We saw her though in Obi-Wan with Leia, and
very little though.
But they like seem to get along pretty well. Like she's like
I feel like Bail would be open with his wife, but also like is this kind of like a Ned Stark situation where he's like, I'm so sworn to secrecy, I have to be burdened with keeping the secret from my wife.
Yeah,
like
I
Ned
feel
Stark.
Like these men written by men are thinking that. Like, keep her out of the loop, it's safer. Keep her out of the loop, like, it's less likely to, like, spread. Like, you know, they don't want any loose ends.
I kind of like...
I mean, if they're not going to tell Ahsoka, why would they tell Organa's wife?
Well, because that's who he goes to bed with at night, and maybe they're more open between each other. But... yeah, I don't know. Maybe like Yoda made Bail Organa like swear on the Bible you can't tell anyone. Like, I don't know.
They're like, here's a fake birth certificate.
But the fact that Rex in this episode of Rebels in Twin Sons, Rex says Organa confirmed Obi-Wan's death. So Organa went around telling everyone Obi-Wan's dead. So clearly, like they really wanted to keep the twins secret. But it kind of makes sense to me that you would keep Ahsoka out of it when I thought that, like, oh, well, she's running around doing Jedi-ish things, and the Inquisitors are, they've already had a couple run-ins with Ahsoka that we know of. It stands to reason it was a possibility that Bail Organa didn't want, like, the Inquisitors to capture Ahsoka and interrogate her and, like, dark-side force pull the information out of her mind about Luke and Leia.
Yeah.
And so, like, he really didn't want anyone else to... And also, like, he really wants Obi-Wan to stay on Tatooine watching Luke. And not getting involved with the wider rebellion. He makes the decision to bring Obi-Wan in during Rogue One. He's like, okay, now it's time. But in the meantime, he's like, okay, you're there just to keep an eye on that boy and make sure he's safe from the Empire. But... when Ezra encounters Obi-Wan, that's kind of cool because like he's known about this guy since the first episode. He saw the Obi-Wan message on
the Jedi holocron.
The holocron in Kanan's quarters. So he's kind of, from that point on, in a lot of ways, Obi-Wan was kind of Ezra's introduction into the world of the Jedi and the Force. Mm-hmm. So it's satisfying to see him finally come face to face with him and get to talk to him a little bit. And, us as the audience, Obi-Wan Kenobi is the original Jedi. Right. He's like the very first Jedi that George Lucas even thought about, So, the fight between Maul and Obi-Wan.
No notes.
One of my favorite lightsaber battles of all time.
I remember the first time I saw it, and I was disappointed it was so quick. and like literally rewound it and watched it again, and I was like, well, this makes sense. Like it took me a minute just to not be like, oh, I thought it would be like this really big thing. But like I think that's what's cool about Star Wars and about a lot of these stories is when it ends up not being a really big thing. Or like it's like kind of like when Cyril, for example, like in Andor, like when he corners Cassian and he's like, I got you now, and Cassian's like, who are you? Like, I loved that, because, like, why would Cassian fucking know who Cyril is? Like, he never even saw his face, you know, like, ever, when he was, like, fighting him that one time.
Yeah, he had a gun to his face for a little bit on Ferrix.
But it almost has the same vibes as that here with Maul and Kenobi. Like, Maul is, like, obsessed with Kenobi, and he's like, I'm gonna get that guy.
Yeah. This is, like, Maul's secondary big obsession, by the way. Like, at first, he wanted to bring down the Empire from Malachor, because he can't get over his hatred for his ex-master betraying him. But, like, that didn't work out, so he's like, well, I guess I'll go fuck with the other guy I hate, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, and then his third priority is finding an apprentice.
Yeah, he's always desperate for an apprentice. There's a whole TV show about that now.
But he also has more opportunities looking for an apprentice than I think fighting Kenobi or the Emperor. But I do like that this is, like, a concise battle. Like, it really shows, like, how much they've grown, even in their solitudes, and
it's almost like they had like a pre-fight before they fight when they're staring each other down. They're like running through like 1,000 sword moves.
Oh, agree. I feel like they had probably multiple fights internally before they did this final one.
And in real life, like, no, I don't know much about sword fighting. I've never watched a real life sword fight, but I've been told by people who I think know more than me that in real life, like, actual, like, two expert sword fights fighting each other, it would be, like, a pretty short fight. Like, when people know what they're doing, it's not like this big, long, elaborate, choreographed thing.
Right.
But also, to me, it felt a little bit more like original trilogy lightsaber action compared to the big choreography of the prequels. So to me, it kind of felt like, oh, like this old school original trilogy, Alec Guinness looking Obi-Wan, samurai pose, two hands on the lightsaber, just immediately chopping down the symbol and representation of crazy over-the-top prequel Phantom Menace, Darth Maul acrobatic lightsaber fights.
Yeah.
To me, it was like OT supremacy over the prequels when I watched this. That's why I like it. It was like, hey, that's Star Wars that looks too weird and prequel-y. Fatheree, here you go. You've been watching Star Wars in the chronological order, and now everything looks like the original trilogy, and we're just going to kill that last little remnant of prequelness in here.
Yeah. I also like that you brought up, you know, it's really touching that Kenobi holds Maul as he dies.
The same way that he held Qui-Gon and Satine, the two important people to him that Maul took from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Obi-Wan really practices what he preaches. Like when he wouldn't go after Hondo, when he's like the Jedi are above revenge. We don't do that. That's not a thing in our world.
Yeah,
that's not even an option for me to seek revenge. Like he truly embodies that.
Yeah, it seemed, you know, Kenobi was really sad that Maul had let this fester for so long, and that Kenobi had to like take him out in the end over this. Like, he's like, man, you could have done anything with your life.
He didn't even want to kill. Like, the only reason Obi-Wan got his lightsaber out is because Maul started talking about Luke. When Maul
he was like, oh, why are you here? You're protecting something. Oh, it's someone.
And when Maul says that, then like you see a switch flipped in Obi-Wan Kenobi's head where he's like, I can't let this guy leave this planet alive.
Yeah, he's like, you just activated protector mode. Yeah. You cannot live.
Yeah, you just got yourself killed by a Jedi Knight. And they people have talked a lot about this, but he kind of does like the classic Ewan McGregor prequel Obi-Wan Kenobi pose with the lightsaber, like before Obi-Wan fights Grievous in Revenge of the Sith, or he has like his left hand pointing towards his opponent and the lightsaber in his right hand also pointed out. Obi-Wan does that, but then when Maul gets in his fighting pose, then Obi-Wan switches to the Qui-Gon Jinn two hands on the lightsaber pose. So that's just kind of a cool nod to Qui-Gon Jinn. Who, at this point, Obi-Wan converses with. Qui-Gon has trained Obi-Wan into how to become a Force ghost when he dies. So, there's also some Tusken Raiders in this episode. I noticed that the Tusken Raiders had their rifles had like blaster bolts, but like normally they're supposed to have like projectile guns, like bullets. So, but yeah, I don't really have anything else. R.I.P. Maul. We're done with Maul. We're not done with him because he's got a new TV show. But for our timeline, as far as that goes, he's done. We will go talk about the TV show after the last 2 episodes come out next week. So at some point after the Mandalorian and Grogu movie on May 22nd, we will circle back and cover the 10 episodes of the Maul show. As for right now, Taylor and I have one final season 3, I guess it was 2 episodes, episodes 21 and 22, 0 Hour. This is the last thing we're going to talk about today. Taylor, tell us what happens in the Rebels season 3 finale, 0 Hour.
Various rebel cells begin gathering at Atollon to prepare for the attack on Lothal. However, Thrawn is aware of the rebel plans and tells Governor Pryce and Grand Moff Tarkin that the real performance is about to begin, and he has already planned a trap for them. Kallus tries to warn the rebels, but is captured by Thrawn. Thrawn traces Kallus's transmission and determines the rebels' bases' locations at Atollon. Thrawn sends his fleet there, which includes 2 Interdictor-class Star Destroyers. With the Interdictors in orbit, it is impossible for the rebel ships to escape, and the fleet is forced to fight a losing battle against the Imperials. Knowing that their only chance is to send someone out to summon the rest of the rebel fleet, Commander Sato sacrifices himself by crashing his carrier into Constantine's interdictor, giving Ezra a window to escape. On Atollon, Kanan attempts to ask the Bendu for help, but the Bendu is reluctant due to its neutral role. Kanan then accuses the Bendu of being a coward, which angers the Bendu, and it disappears. In hyperspace, Ezra contacts Mon Mothma for help, but she is unable to send reinforcements due to fear of them getting caught in another of Thrawn's traps. With no options left, Ezra decides to ask Sabine for help. With the battle going poorly, the rebels are forced to retreat back to their base on Atollon and activate its shield generator, protecting them from the Imperial fleet's bombardment. Thrawn responds by sending a ground force to assault the base. Ezra reaches Sabine and convinces her and Raul to lead a small Mandalorian force to destroy the remaining Interdictor cruiser, which will allow the rebels to escape. Thrawn's forces breach the base's defenses, but before he can capture the rebels, the Bendu intervenes, attacking the Imperial forces and distracting them long enough for the rebels to evacuate, but attacks them as well. At the same time, Ezra and Sabine destroy the Interdictor. Kallus escapes imprisonment and ejects an escape pod to be picked up by the Ghost crew. The rebel fleet then escapes back on the The rebel fleet then escapes. Back on the surface, Thrawn incapacitates the Bendu, who warns Thrawn that it has already foreseen his defeat. Refusing to believe this, Thrawn attempts to kill the Bendu personally, but it disappears before the shot can hit it. The remaining rebel fleet leaves to rendezvous with the rest of the rebellion at Yavin 4, and Hera promises to help Sabine and the Mandalorians on an upcoming mission. Ezra is worried about their massive defeat the rebellion has suffered, but Kanan points out that it is in fact a victory since they escaped. That's toxic positivity. Okay. He then tells Ezra that he foresees a future where everybody is free, but they will have to fight to make it happen.
Yeah, so our final story of 2 BBY. But the loss of Chopper Base. So our rebels will make their way to Yavin in season 4, but as far as the Atollon stuff goes, this is it. Goodbye, Bendu. I guess there's no more Bendu in Rebels?
I don't remember. I mean, he's not dead.
Right, but they never come by and visit him again.
Yeah,
after.
I'm not sure.
He doesn't really amount to much in the grand scheme of the show.
He's there to be a wise person for them to reflect with.
To give Kanan someone to
check in with.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny. I like that he's like, I want to be neutral. And then Kanan's like, you cannot. And he's like, yes, I can. He's like all pissed. I love how mad the Bendu gets because I feel like the Bendu so much. I'm like, leave me alone. Let me do my thing. And then I get poked and poked and poked and poked. And then I'm like, fine. You want to see me mad? I got you. And then it's like, rawr.
I think it's funny he gets this mad just from being called a coward, though. It's
because his whole point is that he's the neutral role and he can't, like, he is in his limitations. And, and I love that is, like, he ends up, like, helping the rebels for a minute, like, in the Imperials, and he's like, but I had to be neutral, so I'm going to strike y'all, too. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm helping y'all, but also, like, y'all got to help yourselves.
Why's he got to be neutral?
Because he's the Bendu.
I don't like that. He should just be good. Just be good. Just be on the side of good.
Well, he can't. That's not his role. Like, that's what I'm saying, is that he has limitations because he has to. Because if he's not in balance, then if he goes good, then they'll be out of balance. The boat. What are the Ashla and the Bond? Like whatever.
The Ashla and the Bowden or whatever. But just from, like, I don't know, a philosophical perspective, I don't like that idea of, like, well, there has to be some good and there has to be some bad. It's like, no, like, I don't want there to be, like, an evil empire that, like, destroys planets and murders people. Like, I don't think there has to be, in order to have good, you have to have, like, a little bad, and you have to have, like, the Bendu balance it out. Like, I don't know. I'm like Kanan. I'm like, get in the fight on the side of good. But it does work out for the rebels, I guess. I mean, like, they lose their base, but they are able to escape. I guess what is funny about to me about all this is that if Constantine had just listened to Thrawn, this would have been an absolute total victory. All of these rebels would be dead or in an Imperial prison labor camp. And Thrawn would be getting a medal pinned on him by someone on Coruscant. Mm-hmm. But Constantine, he was like, oh, this Grand Admiral Thrawn is trying to deny me glory. I'm going to disobey orders and go destroy this ship. And in doing so, he opened up a possibility for Ezra to escape and got his interdictor. That's what they call the gravity well ships, right? The interdictors. Mm-hmm. So Sato sacrifices himself. No more Sato and no more Constantine. Yep. Sato sacrificed himself in that cool carrier ship, which had Sabine's Phoenix painted on it. Looked really badass. This big repurposed Imperial ship, repurposed with Rebels colors, but sacrificed to take down Constantine in one of the interdictors. But that's all they needed for Ezra to go get the Mando help. I love Ezra. He kept Maul's Maul DeLorean ship. Mm-hmm. So a good ship when you have to go visit the... What's the name of Sabine Mom's planet? Is it Cronest? That's how it's spelled.
I'm not sure.
Or Cronest, whatever it is. But they looked so cool when they're having to run around on the outside of the other interdictor ship, and they're in their Mando armor, and Ezra's in the spacesuit with his lightsaber, fighting TIE fighters that are shooting at them, and all of that was cool. I guess they kind of copy that a little bit in The Rise of Skywalker. That's like when Finn and the ex-Stormtrooper gal are riding around on those animals on top of the Star Destroyer. But it was a good way to defeat Thrawn by making it not his fault that he loses. Like, he still comes off as like
he's still strong and strategic. It was someone that broke his rules that fucked it up.
Yeah, it's like the only reason why this wasn't worse is because the Empire wasn't following Thrawn enough.
Yeah.
I guess the Bendo was kind of a cool reaction when he does, like, get mad and is, like, raining down lightning bolts and is like, Kanan Jarrus, Jedi Knight.
One thing I wish would have happened, though, was that the spider things were attacking the Imperials, because that seems to be, like, kind of, like, something that the Rebels struggle with on Atollon for so long. Those, like, spider things. Mm-hmm. And they, like, have all the probes, and then there's, like, a whole thing about Kanan and Ezra learning to, force bond with them enough to where they get left alone. But, like, they aren't used in this episode when the Imperials come and land on Adelon. And it's like, that would have been like an easy nature takeover.
Feed some stormtroopers to the spiders,
Yeah. I kind of wish they had done that.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen that. I guess the last thing I was going to say about the Bendu is that he has, like, that line to Kanan where he says, when he's getting really annoyed at Kanan, and he's like, sometimes I think it was the will of the Force that your whole Jedi Order was wiped out. But the Bendu is I think he's onto something like that. It kind of seems like that was like the will of the Force that was part of like Anakin being the chosen one, that he wipes out all of the Jedi and all of the Sith, and they kind of can just start over clean. But that's kind of like, damn, Force, that's kind of harsh. Like, but yeah, maybe the Bendu's right. Maybe that was like the grand plan. It is. I think it's more just like Anakin like taking down the Sith. So that's interesting to talk about. So I guess like here, like the end of season 3, after the destruction of Chopper Base here, after what happened in Twin Suns, Ezra no longer takes it upon himself as it's like his mission to go defeat the Sith. He now believes it's his mission to go liberate Lothal, like what he originally, I guess, wanted, was to get his home planet free. And I kind of like the message of that. It's like, oh yeah, if you don't like the evil empire, then, I don't know, start organizing locally, is right. Kind of how it comes off. But after Twin Suns, I guess the point of going to Tatooine was that he felt that his destiny was to destroy the Sith, and that to find out how to do that, he'd have to go to Tatooine, and Maul felt like his destiny was to go after Obi-Wan, who it turned out was on Tatooine, and that's why they were drawn there. But I don't know, it's not Ezra's destiny to destroy the Sith. It's like his destiny to liberate Lothal. So, why was he ever told to have to go to Tatooine? Was it just that he had to, like, why? And like that all started after Yoda originally sent him to Malachor. Like, he went to Malachor to try to learn how to defeat the Sith. It's like man, like Vader is so strong. How are we gonna stop him? Like we gotta go. Yoda says we have to go to Malachor to figure this out.
Yeah, and they get the Sith holocron. The Sith holocron is the reason he goes to Tatooine at all. Is because Maul wants him to be bait for Kenobi.
But why did the light side of the Force, and like why did Yoda want him to go to Tatooine? Like go to Malachor to go to Tatooine, and then go to Tatooine to learn like, oh well, you're really just supposed to go back to Lothal where you started. And,
I don't think Yoda wanted him to go back to Tatooine. Like the only thing Yoda said was to go to Malachor so that he could get access to the Sith holocron. And then whenever it was Maul.
Well, why did Yoda want him to go to Malachor then?
Because the only answer, the question that Ezra had was how to defeat the Sith. And Yoda doesn't know shit. He's like, the only thing I know is that there is a Sith temple on Malachor. Maybe you could start there.
Okay, so Yoda was just like, just try Malachor.
Yeah, I think he was like, I don't have the answer to your question.
Okay, I guess I thought like Yoda was sending him where he was meant to be.
No,
like...
Yoda doesn't know anything. You are always assuming that Yoda is like this all-knowing...
That's what he's supposed to... That's like the intent of Yoda.
He's
like
faking it. He's faking it.
The people who make Star Wars would be like, yeah, like Yoda is like this wise, benevolent... Like if the people who make Rebels... Like if you brought in like Dave Filoni and the whole like Rebels writer staff into our house and asked them like, tell us about Yoda, they would say like, yeah, he's like the all-knowing wise Jedi who's...
I don't think Yoda, though, like, understands, like, why some of the things he does. Like, okay, like Joel just said, the answer is always is that the Force willed it.
Well, I think that's bad writing, though.
I can agree with that, but I think that that's kind of what Yoda is like, oh, I'm getting a Force vibe that they need to go to Malachor, so I'll just say that, but I don't know shit. They'll figure it out on Malachor. And then, like, the Tatooine thing... I think mostly just stems from Maul. And, like, the Sith holocron fused with the Jedi holocron, it's hearing, like, oh, how do we defeat the Sith? And they're saying, oh, you defeat the Sith by Luke Skywalker on Tatooine. But so like in their brain, they're just answering his question, like, who's gonna defeat the Sith? Like, how do you defeat the? You don't. Luke does, and here he is on Tatooine, and also the holocron is hearing Maul be like, "Where the fuck is Kenobi?" And they're like, "Oh, funny you should ask. Also on Tatooine," and I think that you're confusing like Yoda telling them to go to Tatooine. Like he is just telling them the minimum that he knows about Sith shit, and the Sith and Jedi holocrons are deciding what to tell Maul and Ezra during that conversation, and they just interpret it wrong. This is like a constant theme in Jedi shit. When they have visions, they interpret it wrong. Like Anakin is the worst one of all of them.
But that's also like that's like a prequel Jedi thing. Like after the fall of the Jedi Order, like I feel like the surviving Jedi, like Obi-Wan and Yoda, like the storytellers want us, like the intent of the storytellers is that like they're trying to like learn from their mistakes and do better now.
Okay, so they can be doing that and still not be the best at giving advice.
But they're accidentally giving inaccurate advice. But I don't know,
I think that they're giving like the advice. They're like, I don't know much about that. This is what I do know. And that's it.
I feel like I need to go back and watch the scene when Yoda tells Ezra to go to Malachor. Because I feel like he's telling him, like, that's the next step in your journey. That's where you're really supposed to go. And I felt like it's like Yoda knows more about Ezra's future than Ezra knows.
No, Yoda doesn't know. He doesn't.
That's not... But, like, the original intent from the storytellers, I think, is that, like, this guy does know, though. He's, like, this, like, knowledgeable, wise, benevolent creature who's gonna give, like, good advice.
I don't know. A broken clock is still twice right a day.
I think you don't like the way Yoda looks, and you have a hard time... You like when, like, oh, the Jedi are naughty and being stupid in Clone Wars, but then when it's, like, original trilogy stuff where, like, the Jedi are supposed to be, like, good, you're like, oh, Yoda still sucks.
Yeah. He did all that shit. He was terrible at making decisions, at being, like, a Clone Wars general Jedi youngling teacher. Like, how can you be, like, doing both at the same time, first of all? And then, I don't know, like, he just, like, his way of taking accountability is that he's going to put himself in exile and figure out this whole Dagobah thing. I'm like, whoa, how convenient for you to go run off and live in a swamp while everyone else is fucking trying to fix the shit that you fucking started. And, I mean, honestly, like, I'm not stoked about Obi-Wan being on Tatooine solo, free-flying, watching over Luke, like, quote-unquote, watching over Luke, like, okay, also in self-exile doing the same shit as Yoda. But it's worse for Yoda, because he doesn't have an excuse that he's, quote-unquote, watching over someone. Like, he's just out there fucking around in the swamp. Like...
And eventually he finishes Luke's training.
Yeah, but, I don't know. I think that if they really wanted redemption arcs, they should have been more active in the Rebel Alliance.
But, okay, so the problem with... I guess we can blame all of this on George Lucas, then, for how he wrote the prequels. But, okay, like, you have, like, the original trilogy, and then you make, like, this prequel shit, like... And then you have these other people hired to tell these stories, okay, in between the original trilogy... Or in between the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy, what happens? And it's like, what do you write then to not like? But you can't character assassinate Obi-Wan and Yoda. Like, they have to be good people in the original trilogy. So what would be the story that you tell then?
I don't like something more involved. Like, I think Yoda could have been like, I don't know.
But wasn't you just said that, like, his problem was that he got he got too involved with the Clone Wars. Like, he shouldn't have been trying to fight a war. He should have just been trying to train kids.
Yeah, but it's
and
like,
so
okay.
In the original trilogy, he's like, okay, I'm just going to hang out in the swamp and train this kid.
Okay, but it's like, if you're going to do self-exile, and then you're like, okay, maybe you do 5 years of self-exile, and then you realize, oh, there's a rebel united front building up. Oh, I mean, I guess Yoda's probably way the fuck out of touch. Like, he's not getting the news on Dagobah.
I think he's like, my time, I squandered my opportunity. It needs to, like, the kids are going to have to come fix this. All I can do is help. I got to get out of the way and help them.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay.
Like, I agree that that's what he's thinking, but I don't think he should have done that. Like, also, why couldn't... Well, you know what? No, that'd be weird as hell if Luke grew up with Yoda on Dagobah. Like...
I mean, it's got to be that Luke grows up on Tatooine, because in 1977, they made a movie about, like, Luke had grown up on Tatooine, and there is this strange old hermit, Ben Kenobi, who lived up the road from him.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. A lot of this stuff is why, like, a lot of times, like, to enjoy the original trilogy, I just have to, like, ignore this other stuff ever happened. Well, that's what I'm saying, is, like, if that's the way that George Lucas wanted it to be, then he shouldn't have made all of this other stuff in the prequels about Yoda and Obi-Wan, like, it should have been handled a little differently, I think, to make it believable for me of where they end up in the original trilogy. Or in, like, what they're doing in between, I guess. Because, I don't know. It just seems like the way that Obi-Wan was so reluctant to go help Leia for, like, 3 days and leave Luke, like, exposed for only 3 days is, like, weird to me.
But there is literally, like, an Inquisitor earlier that morning asking Uncle Owen, like, Owen, are you hiding a Jedi on your farm? Like, I think that would be a valid time to be concerned. And, but yeah, I also understand, like, well, it kind of makes Obi-Wan look like a dick. It makes it look like he's more worried about Luke than Leia, and that's... But, yeah, I don't know. But I kind of just, I go to the intent of the storytellers, like, it's a muddled message, but what were they trying to say? Are they trying to say that this guy is, like, it's kind of fucked up that he's more protective of Luke than Leia? Or were they just, like, not able to get it across that he had, like, a good reason to stay and worry about Luke?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's like, do you blame the character or do you blame the storytellers?
I mean, both.
It's kind of, like, to put it in Star Trek terms, it's like, I don't think it was originally the intent of the writers to make Worf a bad dad to Alexander in Star Trek. But I think, like, they noticed, like, when they were writing Deep Space Nine, hey, if this was real, this would be, like, a really shitty way of being a parent. Like, he's never around his kid. He never talks about his kid. And then they made the choice, okay, let's blame that on the character. Let's write that into the series, that he has these issues, and we'll actually make a story out of it. But I guess that could have been, like, an option for them to do with some of the Star Wars stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky thing to. For the most part, like, I'm more impressed than not about how the people who are, at least, like, on these shows, on, like, Rebels and Andor, like, the way that they try to, like, tie this stuff together and make it make sense. But
yeah, no, I think it's really good. I personally am not the biggest fan of Obi-Wan and Yoda, like,
because you didn't grow up with just the original trilogy and nothing else.
I did for a little bit, but, like, it's still just, like, even then I was kind of like, okay, and, like, I don't know. I guess I didn't have, like, the reverence for them like you did.
Yeah, I thought when I was a little kid, I thought it'd be so cool if Ben Kenobi was real, and he would, like, take me on, like, he'd be like, okay, son, you're gonna have to, like, leave your family and your life behind and go learn to be a Jedi and go on this big adventure with me. It's kind of like that big, it's Gandalf showing up and, like, bringing Bilbo onto, like, this big mission. Like,
and I have a lot of problems with Gandalf too. So it's like, I think I just have a hard time.
Maybe you don't like wizards. Maybe you don't like old wizards.
Yeah, no, I think it is. I think it's a little bit of, like, I think that there's a problem with characters who are written or make decisions, or maybe they're written badly, or the characters make bad decisions on purpose, whatever. But then the fans are expected to still be really strong fans and like support those characters through every decision. Like, I think that there's many things that they fuck up, and I think is rude to do to other like there's like when Gandalf like basically voluntold Bilbo that he's going on this adventure. Bilbo doesn't want to go. Like, that's on Gandalf. And then like half of the dwarves die in that. That's kind of on Gandalf.
They don't die. Who dies?
What? Like a whole bunch of the dwarves die in The Hobbit? At the Lonely Mountain?
Yeah, who dies at the end other than Thorin?
Isn't like Keely and Feely and whoever the hell else? There's like a bunch of them that die.
I don't know.
I thought.
Let's
okay,
go.
well, I haven't finished the book.
Let's
I've
go.
only seen the movies. So, anyways, we should bring this back to Star Wars. But like, I don't know. It's just Yoda and Obi-Wan be making some big uh-ohs, and I don't know. I think I also don't really like them putting all of their eggs in Luke's basket. I think that's rude.
Yeah, and you know, it is kind of funny that like that their plan seems to be, okay, let's just train this guy to go kill his dad, and then if that doesn't work, then we'll train the other one. But I don't know. I don't have any other thoughts. I'm excited to watch the final season of Rebels, though, and then after that, we're going to close out Andor, so we're coming to the conclusion of our two... What I'm really interested, Taylor, is when we do our big May the 4th marathon of the original trilogy on Monday. I don't know, like, a lot of times, like I was saying, I watch the original trilogy, and I just kind of ignore the prequels, ignore everything else. I'm like, okay, this is the original voice Boba Fett. He's not the guy who sounds like Jango Fett. I watched the despecialized edition. I don't want to see the CGI Death Star explosion. I don't want to see Greedo shoot first or shoot at the same time. I want to see Han shoot first, but because we're doing this chronological rewatch, I might be plugging in all of the prequel lore as we're watching the original trilogy.
Well, maybe you'll be more frustrated with Obi-Wan and Yoda this time.
Maybe, but that'll be very soon. The next show we're gonna do on Thursday, almost certainly on Thursday, but we'll be in 1 BBY within the final year before the Death Star explosion. And we're going to talk about all of Season 4 of Rebels. And then shortly after that, we'll have Andor, and we'll have Rogue One, and the original trilogy itself. So, followed by a lot of live-action shows. The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, which we will watch for the first time. And then, of course, The Mandalorian and Grogu in theaters May 22nd. So, lots to look forward to. But until next time, remember, the Empire is for bootlickers. Be a rebel, and may the Force be with you.